What is your New Year's resolutions? Is it to get in shape? Is it to make more money? Is it to get more subscribers? Be a better husband or a better mother? Is it to stop drinking and eat healthier? The most common New Year's resolutions fall into one of these 6 categories: money, health, career, self-improvement, family, and love. There was a study done this year and they found that 73% of people that answered the survey were planning to actually create a New Year's resolution this year, and that's up from previous years. However, when we look at previous year's data, only about 8% of people actually follow through on their New Year's resolutions, and of the people that actually make a New Year's resolution, 80% fail within the first month.
Oh no!
And this led me to dig into this topic and figure out why so many people fail so that you can actually achieve your New Year's resolution. So the history of New Year's resolutions is actually very old, like 4,000 years old. It's said that the origins of New Year's resolutions comes from the time of the Babylonians. However, their New Year's was very different from ours. They planned to start around mid-March when the crops were being planted, during a 12-day festival. That's a really long festival. During this 12-day festival known as Akidu, they made promises to the gods to return anything that they borrowed and also to pay their debts. And if they fulfilled these promises, then the gods would look favorably upon them. The New Year's traditions continued in this way until a Roman king named NUMA from around 700 BCE moved the start from March to January in honor of the god Janus, which is the Roman god of all beginnings. And in 46 BCE, Julius Caesar then declared January 1st as the start of the new year. And during this time, the Romans offered sacrifices to the god Janus with the promise of good conduct for the coming year. Even though the practice of New Year's resolutions is deeply rooted in religion, we don't really have any religious ties to it anymore. This tradition has been a way to focus on ourselves and create goals for things that we want to achieve next year. And that key word is goals. The issue with New Year's resolutions is that they're easy to declare, but they're almost impossible to actually achieve. And why is that? Unfortunately, the human brain is wired to favor routine over novelty, even if that routine is unhealthy. There was a study a while back where 2 groups of people were given either stale or fresh popcorn while sitting in the theater watching a movie. Back when movie theaters were a thing, hopefully that changes soon. And even though the group that received the stale popcorn admitted that it tasted bad, they ended up eating the same amount of popcorn as the group that got the non-stale popcorn. Now, what does that tell us? Well, popcorn in theater has just become a routine that we do. When you go to the theater, you get popcorn. At least most of us do. It's just like every other routine that we set for ourselves. So if you're someone who grabs a beer after work, well, that becomes a routine. Or if you're someone who wakes up and checks your phone every morning, that then becomes a routine. And we basically have to hack these routines if we want to make a change moving forward. So as you can imagine, there's an unbelievable amount of information online about setting goals. So I've gone through as much of it as I can, and I've boiled down to 5 big takeaways that can actually help us be in that 8% of people who actually achieve their New Year's resolution. Takeaway number 1, don't create a massive goal that's super vague without actually breaking it down into smaller goals. You can set these big New Year's resolutions, but what you want to do is create a set of goals that sit underneath that resolution, and then another set of goals that sit under that. Basically creating like this pyramid of things that you want to achieve that ultimately will help you achieve your full New Year's resolution. David Allen is the creator of a productivity concept called Get Things Done. I've followed this for a little while now, and his methodology for productivity can essentially be applied to achieving goals as well.
So it's really a best practice about how do you manage and keep track of and clarify all the things we're committed to do, so it's a little easier, actually a lot easier, to then manage that huge inventory and renegotiate with yourself against the madness and speed of change and information and all that stuff, that we're all dealing with these days.
How Get Things Done works is you break down everything into smaller and smaller tasks to the point where it's a task that could be done in the next minute or 10 minutes. Something super small that's easy to grasp. But ultimately, all of these tasks come together to achieve that big goal or that big project that you're working on. So breaking down your goal into smaller goals and smaller tasks, and then working on those individual tasks will come together, and you can climb that ladder until you eventually actually hit your New Year's resolution. And this brings me right smack into takeaway number 2. You need to have some numerical, tangible data that's attached to your New Year's resolution. So instead of saying, I wanna lose weight, you need to say, I'm gonna lose 15 pounds. Or instead of saying, I wanna get organized, you need to say, I have these 30 things that I want to do, and that will constitute me becoming organized. Now, during my research, I typed in Google, what are the top 10 New Year's resolutions? And here's what I found. Exercise more, lose weight, get organized, learn a new skill or hobby, live life to the fullest. Live life to the fullest. I mean, seriously, what is the actual tangible thing there? Save money or spend less money, quit smoking or quit drinking, spend more time with family and friends, travel more, and read more. All 10 of these goals are good intentioned, but they're just not obtainable. So let's look at one of them, get organized. Now, this is something that I personally have set a goal for myself over the last few months because I moved into a new house, a new area. It was a great time to get organized and start moving things around and cleaning out all the stuff that I don't want. But instead of saying like, hey, I just want to organize my life, what I did is I broke it down into specific areas. So my phone, I wanted to go through and clean up all my apps. My computer, my hard drives, my office here, my yard, my garage. You know, there's all these different areas, and I wrote each area down. Now from here, it's a matter of putting a numerical value on it. So how long is it gonna take me to organize my garage? And once I thought through that, figured out essentially how much time it's gonna take, then I put it on the calendar. And this brings me to takeaway number 3. Goals need to have some sort of date associated with them. Open-ended tasks never really get done because there's no real pressure to actually do it. When you set a date in stone, you say, I'm gonna do this on April 5th, I'm gonna do this on June 26th, then those are dates that are going to be locked in, and you're gonna do that task on that date or before that date so that you can get ahead. And I've really seen this play out in my own creative process because essentially a YouTube video here is just like a goal. You have all of these things working up towards ultimately posting this video. But if I don't have a specific date in mind, it will just get dragged out more and more. And I'm not the only creator that has this problem. Recently, Jesse Driftwood and Levi Allen were talking about this problem on their new podcast, The Make Stuff Club.
There's layers about why opening those edits are hard for me because I don't see the first step to take. I just see the whole project as a whole, which to me just kind of paralyzes to the point where it's like hard to get the edit even open. Yeah.
By the way, this is a great podcast for makers and creators, so I highly suggest you guys check it out. Being a creator, making videos here on the platform is hard. It's essentially all the same mechanics that we've been talking about with goals. You have all of these things leading up to ultimately making a video. So I have this film that I shot over 2 years ago. It's an adventure film. I climbed some of the highest peaks in Ecuador. I got to the top of Cotopaxi. I got altitude sickness. Like, it's a really interesting story that I shot over 2 weeks, and I haven't done anything with it. Whereas I went to Thailand last year and I shot a documentary about elephant tourism, and that project, when you look at it from the outside, was a much bigger project. There were so many moving parts, and there was actually multiple videos that I had to finish for that project. Now the difference is that Thailand project, I had a specific deadline by when I had to post that video. And so my film about elephant tourism, or multiple films, was finished within a couple weeks of me getting back from Thailand, but this Ecuador project is still just sitting on a hard drive waiting for me to actually open the folder. So with goals, you really have to set specific dates. And this is for everything down the chain, like whether it's your big New Year's resolution or all the little goals, everything should have a specific date attached to it. This brings me to takeaway number 4, and that is you wanna share it with others. You want to tell everyone that's in your inner circle, and even people here, like right here, share it on this platform. Tell people what your goal is, because you are not gonna wanna fail if you say, hey, this is my goal, this is what I plan to do. There's gonna be something inside you that's gonna wanna keep moving towards that goal and actually put the work in. And also the people around you, they're gonna help encourage you. They're gonna keep you moving on this path to actually achieving your goals. And it's not gonna happen unless you actually tell people and talk about it in a public setting, whether that's friends, family, or somewhere like here. Now there's an acronym that keeps popping up over and over when I've been researching about goals, and it is SMART. Specific, measurable, achievable. R. Relevant and time. These 5 things, if you apply it to every single one of your resolutions, goals, and all the way down the ladder, will help you actually get into that 8% of people who achieve their New Year's resolution. So let's break down one of my goals for this next year and apply SMART to it. So one of my New Year's resolutions that I'm setting for myself is that I want to create more videos that I actually enjoy creating, which is adventure films. Now that's very vague. That's like super broad, and you can only imagine like that's not going to happen if that's the only thing that I do. So let's get more specific. Well, I want to do like another climbing film, but I've found this channel that I really like called Mediocre Amateur. I've been following them for a little while, and they do these really cool trail running, mountain climbing videos. So I would love to collaborate with them and make a video together. That is much more specific, but we can break it down even more than saying I just want to collab with this creator and make a video, because their videos take a lot of effort. Like they run 30+ miles to get to these mountains, and they do it all within a day. It's like a crazy adventure. So specifically, there's a few things that I really have to break down to be able to achieve this goal. One is that I need to be able to run 30 miles. Right now I'm only up to about 5 miles, so I got a little ways to go. 2 is I need to connect with these guys that create this channel and actually convince them to do a collab with me, which you guys can help me by going to the most recent video and saying, you should collab with Jeven on a video. So the M in SMART is measurable. So I need to have a specific number attached to this goal. All right, so I'm gonna set a goal of needing to hit 30 miles in a day. That's a specific number that I can actually go for and work my way up to. A in SMART is achievable. So is this actually something that I can achieve? Well, I can make the video, I have the climbing experience, but can I actually run 30 miles? Well, in the past, I've worked my way up to around 20 miles. So I can see that this is something that I could potentially achieve. If I put in the work and I know I get to that point, I just have to do this extra few things to be able to get myself to push it even further. The R in SMART is relevant. All right, so now that I've thought through SMA, specific, measurable, achievable, is it actually something that I want to do? And this is important. I think when you go through this process, you'll find things like, oh, maybe I don't want to do this. But for me, this is something, yeah, I want to do this. Is it relevant to me? So yes, I want to actually make this goal happen. And then the T is for time. Like I was saying earlier, you need to set times for when this is gonna happen. So to be able to run 30 miles, I found a 12-week training program that gets me basically to 30 miles. So I could say that by May 1st, I wanna make this happen because that's a little bit over 12 weeks from now. I can work my way up to that goal. And then on May 1st, or sometime around there, I can meet up with the guys at Mediocre Amateur and go shoot one of these adventure films. So that is taking a New Year's resolution and breaking it down into a specific goal, something that I could actually work towards and actually achieve. Now, this is only one specific goal. This is one film. And I said that my New Year's resolution is I want to create more adventure films. So I'm going to create a few of these goals throughout the year, and that will basically help me achieve my New Year's resolution. So New Year's resolutions are kind of these big, vague ideas, but you can attach specific goals to them, and that's how you're actually gonna make progress towards doing the thing that you want to do. Now, a practice that I've done for the last 5 years is set an intention, a word. And this is much more achievable than trying to do these big, lofty goals. And my word is focus. And yeah, there's no specific thing attached to this word, but it's how I'm going to approach everything that I do in this coming year. So I can remind myself every day, I wanna focus, I wanna stay focused. It's just a word, something to kind of keep you motivated and moving towards your goals. Now guys, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. What are your New Year's resolutions? But let's take it a step further. Let's apply SMART to it. So what are your SMART goals that are going to help you lead to your resolution? And also, what's your word of the year? How do you want to show up this year? Now, for those of you who are subscribers and have been here a while, I'd love to hear from you just on your thoughts on this style of video. I've decided to go kind of a different route, try something different. I'd love to hear from you guys if you like this. So happy New Year's, and let's all get into that 8% of people who actually can achieve their goals. I'll see you on the next one.